Okay, good evening, everyone. This is the licensing committee meeting. Welcome everyone to the chamber again. And please be advised, this meeting will be recorded and be posted in the council's YouTube channel. Can I please request all to use your microphone when you speak, turn it on, and then once you have finished speaking, please turn it off. So that will be the convenience of the meeting. And then next item, I would like to remind when there will be voting, can I request you to raise your hand to indicate the voting if there will be any voting there during the meeting. So we start meeting, I'll go through the agendas. Item 1, apologies for absence. We have received apologies from Dave Sullivan, Nick Williams, Naz Asgar, and Clark MacDonald, and Dominic Mbank. So, leaving early from Councillor David Gardner, and then lateness received from Councillor Joshua Ideli. Item 2 is about the urgent business. There is no urgent business for today's meeting. And now item 3, declaration of interest. I'd like to request you, if you have any personal or financial interest to declare on any of the items on that agenda, please. Anyone? I see none, that's fine. So item 4 is the minutes. Are members happy to agree the minutes of the last meeting? Thank you very much. So I'll sign the minutes now. Thank you. Thank you, Daniel. And now we head to item 5. That's Licensing Act 2003, adoption of revised statement of licensing policy. We have the purpose of the report is to consider and commend to full council the revised Royal Borough of Greenwich statement of licensing policy. That's the purpose of the report we're going to produce today. And we have a presenting officer for the report, Officer Kerry Simpson, who is the Head of Public Protection and Consumer Standard. Can I pass over to Kerry Simpson, please, to present the report?
Thank you, Chair. I think Councillor Taggart-Ryan wanted to initially introduce the item, if that's okay with Councillor Taggart-Ryan.
Invite Councillor Taggart-Ryan Rachel, who is the cabinet member for the relevant.
Thank you very much, Chair. So this item is the updating of our licensing policy, which has to take place periodically, setting out our new policy for the next 4 years. There are sort of 3 major areas where we have made amendments. This is particularly in areas around violence against women and girls, counter-terrorism, and around the Charlton Athletic Football Club and the licensed premises within the policing footfall of the club. Now, this is responding to changes in the zeitgeist and thinking of policy in these areas. On Vogue, we have our upcoming Ending Male Violence Against Women and Girls strategy, and it made sense to tie our licensing and our expectations of license holders in this area to that developing strategy. As we're all aware, there's legislation which is coming down the line in the wake of the Manchester Arena attacks, which was going to place a more substantive burden for preventing the risk of terrorism in venues and licensed premises. So we've got ahead of that by updating those particular concerns within this licensing policy. And Charlton Athletic were, I'm very pleased to say, as a former season ticket holder, promoted this season. And this is brought into relief, and especially if we have had some issues with certain premises in that area, it made sense to take that into consideration, and some of the concerns that police have raised in relation to the policing footfall of the club. In that regard, we have essentially strengthened our expectations in the policy for licence holders in each 3 of these areas. The final point I would like to make, Chair, is there are further changes in the legislative zeitgeist for licensing that we will need to take account of in the next 4 years, but we've tried to anticipate those as much as possible within this. But it may be that we want to make further amendments going forward, specifically around the development of our nighttime economy and the review of the Licensing Act itself, which is coming up, which we will be contributing to the consultation at government level on that, which officers are already beginning to scope out in conjunction with myself and the leadership here about how we want the licensing reform to take place. So I will hand over to Kerry Simpkin, who is relatively still new, I would say, head of service in this area, to give you a little bit more of a deep dive into those 3 areas.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you, Chair. So I'll be brief because I appreciate some of you may need to go shortly. So as Councillor Taggart-Ryan has set out, the main proposals are within 5.2 of the policy, and the emphasis around this is around updating the previous policy, delivering a policy that's for the next 5 years under the Act. This is a statutory required document. We must produce this within the 5-year licensing policy period. That will end, or that the current policy will end in January, so we will need to take this forward to full council for determination and adoption if you are so satisfied with the policy put before you. What I would say is relating to public consultation, we did carry out a public consultation exercise where we had a total of 77 responses to the proposals. Most of them were positive, and the elements that were identified as challenging, some amendments were made to the policy where felt appropriate. The details relating to the public consultation results are set out in section 6 of the report. As Councillor Taggart-Ryan has quite rightly said, this is in effect a policy that we feel is a holding policy for the future. We do anticipate changes coming down the line with not only our evening and nighttime economy approach, but also with potential changes to the legislation around licensing in general. So we will be looking to what that might be for the future, and then look at a future policy approach based on the outcome of that. Apart from that, I don't feel like I've got anything further to add than what's already been said, but I will be available to answer any questions that any members may have relating to this.
Thank you very much, Kerry and Councillor Taggart-Ryan. And now to the members, if you have any questions or any comment on the report, please. Yep, Councillor Cousin.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Chair. Just to Officer Kerry Simpkin, if it's you, this is, I think, I didn't obviously read every single page, it's 200 and odd pages, but I did scan through, and thank you for highlighting the bits in red. It meant you could land there a little bit quicker. So I don't think that I'm feeling that there's any major or, oh my God, type changes. So no problems there. But you did include an equality impact assessment. So number one, thank you for that, because it's one of the things in my years of being in the council I've always asked for. Good to see, but I am going to challenge a little bit, because I am wondering whether you've applied the mitigation, the impact and the mitigation right. It could be me that's wrong as well. Maybe I'm looking at it wrong. But I would have thought that what we're looking at is the impacts on businesses as well as users. So the patrons as well as, so if I'm a business owner, as a woman, as somebody for disability, I need to have fair, equal access to the licensing process. And then also as a consumer, somebody with a disability, as a woman, as a, you know, all the various characteristics, is the premises giving me, or the premises operators, allowing me that fair access? So, for example, someone with a disability, what I wanted to see in the mitigation is perhaps something about the checks that you do in the licensing process or in follow-up visits to ensure that reasonable adjustments are being made, to violence against women and girls, to ensure that the various strategies that are available, ARCS for Angela, I'm always saying the name wrong, it is Angela, isn't it? I've been known to say ARCS for Janet, that those things are actually in place. So I'm not seeing that that's how it's done. And I'm wondering if you looked at the impact in that way, did the assessment in that way, would it raise any challenges or maybe other things that we might have to do? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cousins. Yeah, I'm glad you brought the equality impact assessment. It's really important that we look at our equalities duties when we apply a policy as well as constructing a policy. The element that you raise is quite a tricky one because the duty is on us in relation to our approach to licensing and obviously decision making associated under this Act and our equalities duty. The equalities duty doesn't necessarily then apply from our perspective in terms of how we can mitigate and manage that from a licensed business perspective. They themselves have to understand and take on their roles because the equality duty applies to us, but they don't have that on them. So what we do in terms of what our approach will be is obviously we will look to see what options and available mitigation is being put in place by premises on per inspections if that's necessary. Ultimately, though, we have limited powers under this legislation and actually limited powers generally to mandate change with the venues. However, having said that, obviously if we have complaints relating to access to the property or business, we would look at that, but ultimately the equalities element is a factor we consider in relation to the decision making, but not in terms of what the business is specifically doing relating to, say, access to premises from a wheelchair user, for example. That will be something that they have to own and do, although we will work with them to manage that. And now I can see Councillor Taggart-Ryan wants to jump in on that point as well.
No, just to build on that point, obviously a licensed premises is a business and they are subject to the Equality Act themselves. They cannot discriminate against the protected characteristics, so any patron would have redress through a judicial review of that premises. They would have legal redress if they wished to take a case to say, I had been discriminated against by this business, which they don't have a public sector equality duty, but they still have a legal responsibility not to discriminate in the services that they provide. So there would be another route that would be outside of this council for redress for anybody who felt that they had been discriminated against on equality grounds. That would still apply to businesses in the trade of services and goods.
Thank you. Yeah, you want to come back? Councillor Cousin, yes, you can.
Thank you, Chair. I think that sort of overview approach, definitely I'm aware of. I think what it is I'm looking at, we are the authority, and we know, irrespective of there being laws, nothing gets done unless it's enforced. So in doing this and reviewing this, and we know that those are risks, I do think that it is something that we should refer to, that it is something that businesses will be brought to their attention as a solution, or they will be reminded of their duties. I do think we should put some of those positive actions in. And also, it might be a good idea, if it's not been done, to maybe benchmark with what other local authorities have done with their risk assessments, because you'll find that they're very different. So maybe if that could be done, that'd be great. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Kerry, you want to come back in?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fine. We'll take that away. What I would say is in my past experience of dealing with similar kind of issues relating to licensed premises, we obviously would approach the Equalities and Human Rights Commission relating to that, who are actually the regulatory body for the Equalities Act. So we would work with them and provide and refer venues to that. However, having said that, we will work with businesses, and that will be our priority as well going forward.
Thank you. Other members? Any comment, any questions? Councillor May? You have anything? No. Okay, thank you. Okay, so now back to the Cabinet Member for Community Safety and Enforcement. If you want to wrap up with some comments, anything?
Thank you, Chair. I would like to close the item by thanking the officers who have prepared this revised strategy, particularly to Jane Dyer, who's our licensing team manager, and to the head of service, Kerry Simpkin, who have, I think, with great skill and sort of foresight about anticipating the needs coming up within the changing licensing framework, have produced a very excellent document that has really strengthened particularly our expectations around violence against women and girls, which is an area I know that we are prioritising on this council.
Thank you, Councillor Taggart-Ryan. So in this case then, are we all ready to agree to commend to the full council the revised Royal Borough of Greenwich Statement of Licensing Policy, which is stated in Appendix A of the agenda pack today? So can you note yourself or raise hand that we agree for that? Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Councillor Cousin?
Thanks, Chair. No, I haven't got my glasses on, but is my name, I can't see my name on the list. Let me put my glasses on. My eyesight that bad? Right, yes, my name isn't on the list, is it?
Yep. Councillor?
Thank you, Chair. My name's also not on the list anywhere, so I wouldn't agree with this because I've not been included in there. Thank you.
Right, this is not the full list of the licensing committee. This is the fulfillment in the committee A. There was the fulfillment of one position by Councillor Javier Spencer, where there was a vacancy. And the second one in licensing subcommittee B, there was the vacancy of the subcommittee chair, and that has been filled with Councillor Josia Ayodele. And next vacancy was licensing review subcommittee. There was a vacancy, and that has been filled by Councillor Joshua Ayodele. So it is not, there is not any additional amendment in the full licensing committee. That is as it is. And then if there is anything added, there is added, but I think this is the members from the licensing committee come into subcommittees. Yes, Councillor May.
Thank you, Chair. Is it just the vacancies that we're agreeing that have been filled? Thank you.
That's right, yeah.
Yes, Chair. Who decided to fill those vacancies with those particular names? And I'm quite conscious that I believe I should have been in one of those vacancies. Yeah, can you answer that, please?
Sorry, Chair, to save time, it's both of us. So I've also been removed. Thank you.
So the main nominations are agreed at the full council annual meeting. 3 vacancies have arisen for various reasons, and their proposal here. Obviously, this is the majority group proposals. You are entitled to propose different nominations if you want, and we would vote on it, but this is the proposal before you, and this is the proposal that will be voted on.
Yes, I mean, I would like to propose some different names and take a vote on it if that's the process.
Yeah, of course, you can propose, but that will go to the proposal here. Probably we'll try to decide some proposal list here, or finally it will be approved from the full council anyway.
Look, I think you're making things up here, isn't it? I was on the... Has anybody got the full council? Or we can use our computers and go to full council. But I'm sure I'm on the list as a member of this panel.
So,
I wouldn't
Councillor
waste my
Cousins, that
time
was
coming
the
in.
original situation, yes, but when you became part of the new group, then the vacancies
Yes,
occurred that
as
way.
the group, I'm on it as a member of this panel.
No, you're a member of the licensing committee. These are the subcommittees of the licensing committee.
So, Councillor Cousin,
Okay,
to clarify, this is not the list. Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you. Councillor Tester, did you understand? The fact is, this is not limiting the licensing committee. Licensing committee is still there. We are just fulfilling some of the gaps they existed in the recent time. All other members of the licensing committees will be the deputies in the subcommittees. That's how is there.
Okay, you're looking at us, you're coming back for a response. If you cannot see that what is being done is grossly unfair and unreasonable, you haven't got the Conservative or an independent member on the subcommittees. So be it. But I've said what I've said. We're just going to go around in circles otherwise. So a decision has been made to remove me from a subcommittee and to remove Fletcher from the subcommittee. We were on the subcommittees before, okay? In fact, I was probably one of the more active ones on the subcommittee before, if truth be told.
Yeah, and as
Just to
was
confirm
I, a
the-
very active member on the subcommittees as well, so that's why I'm quite disappointed. But I would argue that it should be done differently.
Just to confirm, the political proportionality does not apply to the subcommittees.
It doesn't mean that reasonableness and fairness cannot be applied, but you've done what you've done. I think just go ahead with what you're doing.
So if you are in disagreement, we can put this item onto the vote here. So you can propose the names, then we put it onto the votes.
So what you're saying is that I can nominate myself to stand or nominate Roger?
You can do, and then we would go to the vote, and then after that, we would go back to vote on this as proposed.
Okay, I nominate myself or Roger, and you can nominate me and I'll second him, or whichever way it works. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. I would like to nominate Anne-Marie and myself. Yeah, thank you.
And also, you need to specify which position you are nominating for each other, because there are a few positions, two positions, say. We had three vacancies were there, one in subcommittee A, one was in subcommittee B, and then one was in subcommittee review subcommittee, licensing review subcommittee. So if you want to propose whereabouts you want to propose, and then we'll put it onto votes.
Before, I think I was on one of the subcommittees like A and the review. If it's either or, then the review subcommittee. Thank you.
Yeah, and I was, I'm sure, on subcommittee B and also on the review subcommittee, so I'd like to propose my name for those, please.
So it's coming up. Let's start from the licensing review subcommittee. First, there is one vacancy, and both of you are putting on that. First, we need to vote who want to go in there. Then we'll vote with Joshua or how we do. Can we vote between three?
Sorry, Chair, if you just put each alternative proposal to the vote.
Yeah, go on.
So I just have am I still a part of this vote? Because, like,
Yeah.
do I need, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So, do you want me to just call them?
Yeah, please. I'll take advice or administrative support from Daniel to do these conducting the voting things, please. Thank you, Daniel.
So, members, there are proposed alternative votes. So, for the Licence Review Subcommittee, could we have a vote on Councillor Cousins filling the vacancy on the Licence Review Subcommittee? Not carried, Chair. Could we have a vote on Roger Tester, Councillor Tester, filling the vacancy on the Licence Review Subcommittee? Not carried, Chair. Licensing Subcommittee B, was it you both wish to? All right. So for for Licensing Subcommittee B, for the position of the Chair on the Licensing Subcommittee B, Councillor Roger Tester, can that be put to the vote? Not carried, Chair. For Licensing Subcommittee A, the vacancy there, Councillor Anne-Marie Cousins, can that be put to the vote? Not carried, Chair.
Yeah. Thank you, Daniel. We put the new nominations into voting, and these were not carried. So the original proposal proceeds ahead.
Sorry, point of order, Chair. Wouldn't there need to be a vote on the original proposal?
So we're now voting on the Appendix B as published, and there's a copy down there on the front if you haven't got the electronic version. Are members happy to agree with the proposals as published? Chair, that's carried by majority.
Yeah, that's carried on. So what is published in Appendix B is carried on now.
Chair, could I check, do you need to vote those who don't vote? Sorry, do you need to count those who don't vote? Or you're just saying it's carried and that's it?
Yeah, it is carried because your vote was not enough to.
Just say votes against.
Okay, do you want to carry the vote against then? Yeah, if you want to do that, we can carry on. You want to carry on that? Yeah, please do that. So vote carried now. Right, thank you very much. That's the end of the meeting today. Please, everyone, thank you so much for your attendance, and thank you very much for your contribution.